Simon, tell us what's coming up.
Well, sovereignty bill. Are you sovereign yourself, for starters?
Aren't you a foreigner?
How?
NBS Frontline. At the twilight of the 11th Parliament, a bill meant to define Uganda's sovereignty is instead redefining the national conversation.
The protection of the Sovereign Bill 2026 as currently drafted risks reversing 3 decades of successful financial development through liberalization that has sustained economic growth.
A letter from the President Yoweri Museveni now sets the tone, measured, cautionary and unmistakably distancing. The president urges restraint. Sovereignty, he says, must remain about policy independence, not control over private enterprise, not interference in how Ugandans move their money. Yet, in just under 2 weeks since its first reading, the Protection of Sovereignty Bill has raced through Parliament, fast-tracked to committee level, gathering public opinion amid growing unease. Warning of economic sabotage, concerns over financial freedoms, questions over intent at the heart of it.
It is passing the way it is on price stability. Because of the depreciation of the currency, that is an unintended consequence of this bill, we are likely to have a depreciated currency and the pass-through of imported items into the domestic prices is going to raise prices significantly.
The fear that the bill stretches beyond sovereignty into the lifeblood of Uganda's free economy. The outcry appears to have reached State House. Amendments are now on the table. A revised bill taking shape under pressure. Has public pressure forced a retreat, or is this just the beginning of a longer battle? This is The Frontline. NBS Frontline.
Yes, it's The Frontline, and a very good evening. My name is Simon Kagwanjala. Well, the contentious Protection of Sovereignty Bill 2026 continues to generate a lot of hysteria as it unfolds with twists and turns. Quite a number of eminent persons have gone before the Legal and Defense Committee to make their case for or against the bill. Today, the State Minister for Internal Affairs has tabled a raft of amendments to the bill, now redefining who a foreigner is, plus a number of several other contentious clauses. President Museveni has also added a spanner in the works by penning a letter, an opinion. He's actually described much of what has been debated about this bill as kerere, noise, or wali. What remains unanswered? A lot of organizations have rejected the bill. Is government willing to stand its ground to get this bill passed? With speculation that actually the bill will be read, will have a second reading on Tuesday, second and third. There's a huge likelihood that it will be read on Tuesday next week. What would be the fate? Could the opinion from different stakeholders just be rendered redundant? Well, we'll be getting into this and much more during the course of our discussion. It will be very interesting for us as we kickstart the show to listen to the opinion of the Bank of Uganda Governor, Dr. Michael Ating Ego, when he spoke out before Parliament. Take a listen.
True national sovereignty is built on economic strength and financial independence. While the goal of protecting national interests is legitimate, the protection of the Sovereign Bill 2026 as currently drafted risks reversing 3 decades of successful financial development through liberalization that has sustained economic growth.
Ono era ategeezezza nti Uganda ejja na kufiirwa ensimbi.
Well, there we are. Joining me tonight is Dr. Frederick Muhumuza, an economist, Honorable Yusuf Nsibambi, a legislator and lawyer, Enoch Barata, the head legal affairs NRM, another lawyer, and Honorable Semuju Ibrahim Nganda, outgoing MP for Kira Municipality, a frontliner and a senior member of the PFF. Good to have you all and a very good evening.
Thank you and good evening.
Thank you, Simon.
Mr. Barata, could the country be missing the bigger picture, given the kind of sentiments that have been voiced against this bill?
Thank you, Simon, and good evening, viewers. There might be sections of the country that have perhaps missed the picture, but I think largely, by and large, the picture and the bigger picture of the bill has not been lost. When this debate started, which was several weeks back, the narrative seemed to be reject the bill, bin the bill, dump the bill, etc., etc. In the last 1 week or 1.5 weeks,
about this bill, to the extent he says, I have instructed, he says, I have instructed committees, chairpersons of committees. No. I want to get his text right. Okay, he says, I have talked to Honorable Hamson Obua and the chairpersons of the relevant parliamentary committees to make the bill concentrate on the sovereignty of policy decision-making and not to meander in the areas of freedom of private enterprise transfers or private money transfers or church donations.
The Honorable Hamson Obua is the government chief whip. It is the function of the chief whip, so he's basically the head of the NRM parliamentary caucus, and to that extent whips the NRM parliamentarians on how they will conduct business.
Is the president arm twisting the legislature?
Legislation or not? No, the president is not arm twisting the legislature at all. The president is saying to the chief whip, please clarify to all the NRM members that the bill should focus on these areas and the other areas are not our intention at all. And that is what we have been arguing. We have been arguing all along that this is the objective of the bill, this is its intention. The debate, as I have said, has been regarding whether the text as was in the bill as first presented conforms to that objective.
Do you take it that the debate has been derailed?
No, the debate has not been derailed. The debate is very effective. The debate has already produced results, as you have seen, because there have been responses. All the presenters, not all the presenters, the more serious presenters made proposals, and you will find that it is those proposals that have been captured in the various amendments that have been proposed now to the committee following these public hearings.
Thank you. Honorable Semuju, what's your take on how the bill, the debate has unfolded over the days, and what does the president's letter, in a way, add to the debate?
I have a feeling this bill came to target the political opposition and the civil society. But the originator, now the president, says, I am the one who initiated. He also feared that while you may track money coming to the political parties and the civil society, there is a likelihood that that money can be channeled through many other sources. That's why the embassies are mentioned there specifically. That's why Ugandans who are working outside Uganda are mentioned. While he knew the target, he was not sure whether the money will formally come to political parties and you can track it, and to civil society. And that's why almost everybody was being brought under the bill. So I agree with him. The purpose for which it is coming hasn't been lost, and the president is very clear. But they are now struggling to remove other people that they did not intend. And but they are removing them without removing them because the fear remains. In the last elections, you had Sarah Birete, doctor of civil society, arrested. You had a reverend father in Masaka, arrested for money laundering. By the way, there is a law on money laundering and financing of terrorism. I participated in making those laws. Political parties and organizations act are supposed to make declarations to the Electoral Commission of the sources of funding, even the money that you have spent and sources, etc. When I don't want to lose the question you have asked me, so I don't think the president
is he refining or complicating?
He's actually deliberately ambiguous, deliberately. Because he hasn't, I think, been satisfied by any explanation, whether from any of these lawyers, that by targeting everybody, maybe he didn't know that it will affect the economy, it will affect the liberal nature, because Museveni has been very liberal. And one time addressing investors from South Africa, Stanbic and others, they invited me at Serena. And they were very happy with Uganda, particularly about the repatriation of their profit, and if they wanted to move their money, they can move it around easily. They were very happy with that. So the president is being told, or he hears people say that this bill that you have proposed actually is going to reverse that. And there are very serious ramifications to the economy.
Yeah, but look.
So that's what is worrying him. But I don't read anything much in his letter.
Okay.
Because first he says the bill, if I understood him properly, must go ahead. But he says, you do the things that I told you, maybe along the way you included other things. And that's why... I think
so do you want to take this as a Museveni bill?
But he said, I initiated. So what do you understand with that? He said, I initiated. What I initiated, what the cabinet did. He used the word, I initiated. So this is his bill to deal with politics, to deal with the civil society, the two groups that have recently been in prison. Civil society.
Well, the president, again in his tweet, he says, of recent, I've noticed a lot of orwali, noise, kerere, regarding the sovereignty bill. What does this speak to the submission?
Of course, he's uncomfortable that you have, it's caused the debate where it's not very easy that you come on Frontline to debate the same thing twice, last week and this week. But he also follows. Museveni reads newspapers. He pretends he doesn't read them, but he reads them. I remember one time He said he doesn't read local newspapers. Then he went to photograph his vehicle during the campaign, and it was full of newspapers. So he reads, he follows, sometimes even TVs he does. So the feedback, the reaction, people appearing before the committee. The two committees have done commendable work. Sometimes committees of parliament will announce hearings and then abandon them midway. But by allowing many people to come, they have kept the debate going. Specifically for me, because you can dismiss the opposition, you can dismiss everybody, the Bank of Uganda raised the issues. The issues they raised, one of them was the regulatory framework. The law creates a peace, and is it Peace and Stability Department in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where people are supposed to go and register. That peace and security something is also supposed to issue permissions similar to Bank of Uganda. The Bank of Uganda said, assuming we have authorized someone to transact financial business as Bank of Uganda, assuming we have, and then this other new regulatory authority says no. Imagine that confusion you're going to create in the country. Bank of Uganda said, in a year, we are now receiving about 1.6 billion US dollars. Some people have said $2.5 billion from Ugandans working outside. You are now defining them as foreigners. The Bank of Uganda went far. They said, this business of NGOs, the civil society that you are targeting, this sector is employing between 20 to 50,000 people. And between them, you have people who are sponsoring that sector, sending to Uganda over 400 million US dollars. They said, if you are going to affect any of those remittances from Ugandans, amounting to about 1.6 billion US dollar, you are going to cripple the economy of the NGOs and the civil society, which is more than 400 US million dollars. You're going to be undermining the sovereignty of Uganda, because there is no country that is sovereign when you are poor, you have no money, you have no reserves. So I understood Bank of Uganda in that regard. The lawyers will argue, government lawyers will come and say everything is okay, you didn't understand it. Those who are opposed to it will also make a similar. So the fears of us who are not ordinarily involved in the business of interpreting is that you can't have everybody appearing before the committee, with the exception of the Honorable Nsibambi and Chiwanuka Chiryo and maybe David Muhoozi. Everybody appearing before the committee saying this thing is very bad from the religious organ, and then you say, no, the religious people can cause me trouble. You go and craft an amendment to say religious people are not involved. Even, I think, financial institutions, you can leave them out. But the rest will remain, because they haven't changed the definitions until I am told they have done so. So if you go and work outside for 3 months, you're going to be classified as a foreigner. If you send money, first you need to go and register. I saw Bank of Uganda also complaining that people want to transact, who are involved in financial businesses, they are going to be required to go and get a mental checkup. Those who are involved, and say, guys, people who are bringing you money, you cannot subject them.
I think that's a tongue in cheek.
No, it is written in the Bank of Uganda statement. It said you can't go.
But is it in the law? Is it in the bill?
No, I haven't, because you see, reading and understanding everything that is in the bill, it is even possible, even those of us who pass bills, you can pass a bill and you get to understand everything in it when it is already passed.
Honorable Nsibambi, you are among the proponents of the bill. It's increasingly becoming clear that it's unpopular
What I wanted to tell and inform the viewers out there, that you have a president for the last elections scoring over 50% of the Ugandan population. So if the Attorney General...
Not of Ugandan population.
Of what?
Of people who turned up to vote. Uganda is
45.6
million. If you want
you're talking about 11 million, for example, in the last elections. And this is the president
so he's dismissing
who is
those
in
who
charge,
came to represent
who is
people.
in charge of the people who voted and those who did not vote. Is the president of the Republic of Uganda. So when you have the Attorney General from that government, the chief legal advisor, then you're looking at millions of Ugandans out there represented by the person of the president and the government. So at that level, when you come in as individuals...
So you want to suggest that what the Attorney General presents is absolute?
Is Uganda?
No, he's actually represented, he's the chief legal advisor of Uganda. Actually, his opinion binds us generally. So what I really wanted to say, that this is a consultative process. You actually respect and thank the stakeholders, even if it's an individual who came to give views about a bill, because it's still a bill. And those views and responses have been considered or are going to be considered by the two committees, and you have a report to be presented.
Yeah, but overall, it's been rendered irrelevant and shady.
No, until we get the report of the committees, that's when you can tell that this is the position.
Who generates the report?
The committees, because they are vested under the law to handle and on behalf of.
Who generates the content in that bill? I thought it's the views, the different views that are captured.
Exactly.
Now the views overwhelmingly suggest that the bill is unpopular.
But Simon, you don't have even the power to say it's unpopular until finally the report is presented by the committee, which considered all opinions. Actually, I can give a view which is unfounded and doesn't make sense. So at that level, let us be patient. We should thank the government has not interfered in these processes. It was referred to the committee by Parliament, where actually myself and Honorable Semuju attended. We did not object. So I think let us be patient. We should not, yes?
Is it dawning on you now that President Museveni is the owner of the bill?
What's wrong with that? Because he's the chief executive and fountain of honor. You vested all those powers in him. And by initiating, then he's doing his job. We should actually be clapping and applauding.
He's not doing his job, Museveni.
Yes.
You see, Museveni is a participant in the political competition in Uganda. So, he now says that this is how I want you guys to compete with me. You must not receive money.
He must give
hiding under sovereignty.
No, it's not there in the bill.
But it is there to deal with
that you must not give money.
I need maybe Simon to clarify. There are several areas where there have been gross misrepresentation. And I think that's why the president is using this word kerere and noise. The misrepresentations have been phenomenal. For example, the suggestion that the bill was proposing to reject money is completely wrong. The bill is essentially about creating a registry and creating rules of disclosure.
No, the president is categorical. He is asking, is this the bill I initiated before cabinet?
And I am telling you, and he's right to initiate a bill, because you must remember, he is the chief executive. And these bills are originated by the executive.
So we are.
So when he says
the country is debating a presidential sentiment, right?
No. When he says I initiated, how do you initiate?
He must give direction, and
you must start with the process.
He's saying I initiated and talked about cabinet, meaning it's going through the proper processes. It must be initiated anyway.
Somebody must initiate it.
Thank you. During the course of the show, we'll be speaking to another guest who is online, who will be joining us. But, Prof, a lot has been said. There's been huge representative for representation from across the aisle. What remains untold as debate continues unfolding?
Well, whatever is unfolding is what is untold. What was the mischief? Because whenever we are developing policies, we say, what are the alternatives? I am not sure we were short of alternatives already in the existing mechanisms. But what is clear, a lot was missed in the normal process of addressing these issues. Consultations. As they are mentioning, by the time the governor and the Financial Intelligence Authority appear in Parliament, you have missed doing even internal consultations within government of the very agencies that the Constitution mandates to provide guidance and action in these same spaces. So for me, if we had followed that and do thorough consultation within government, we wouldn't be where we are. Because clearly when you see the submission of the central bank and when you read the bill and the powers it was shifting to take to the minister, these are powers the Constitution clearly gives to the governor. So you are going to get back to the Computer Misuse Act where somebody was going to go back to the Constitutional Court.
For interpretation.
For interpretation. And you'd have found that the powers of the governor have actually been moved elsewhere.
So do you think the amendments are in a way sanitizing the bill?
Now, at least as we are saying, the information is now with the people who are going to draft the report. It is incumbent upon them to read that information, internalize it. Even the bigger benefit they have is the initiator of the bill has guided them. Because I know some people would have feared. There are people who, the moment they see the president has given direction, they don't want to even go to the realities of getting back to him to say, we heard you, we have looked through the options, this is what we can be done without ruffling certain other things. Now he has given them a blank check to say, you go back and revisit. This is not exactly what I intended. So they have an opportunity to go back. They can even go back and consult him. So for me, it's a question of, do you still want
Is it for the better? Do you believe that the president wants this amended for better?
At least he hasn't told us what he gave them. But what he has given to us is what we are seeing, is not what he gave them. Now, we don't know what he gave them. But ultimately, they now have an opportunity, if they misheard him, or if they overreacted. You know, sometimes somebody says, bring me a banana and you bring the entire bunch.
As it is now, is this bill so bad that there is nothing that we should celebrate as a country?
Well, it's a bill. For me, as we have been saying, you want to celebrate that this country has at least processes of engagement. Because by even being in Parliament, it could have been an executive order, which now would be grappling with as people struggle to implement it. We have seen Trump. He was brought back to order by his own Supreme Court when he was issuing tariffs. Then he was reminded that, by the way, issuing tariffs that relate to global trade is a power of Congress. You overstepped that. So Uganda at least celebrate that there is a process, that we can still have windows of engagement. And this is where we have benefited because the bill was put out there. We have engaged, we have debated, and the principal has listened and actually taken note that you guys, what I am seeing here is noise. And many times between me and you might be talking and say, let me find a safer place, because you are talking to a person, but there is a generator, there is a cow, there are people in the market. You say, there is a lot of noise in our correspondence. I'm not hearing you well. And I think that's why the president has come in.
Well, if I could hold you there, we would like to engage Mr. David Nyekorach Matsanga, a geopolitical expert, to share his views. Good to have you virtually. And what so far would you say the process looks like in the run-up to the passing of the contentious Protection of Sovereignty Bill?
Thank you very much, Mukodomi Kawanjala. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Semuju. I can see you after a long time. And as Professor Sibambi and the others in the studio, and the two lawyers in the studio. First, I am relieved that as an elder who is clocking 70 years today, this year, I'm relieved as a person who has stayed in the diaspora about the original text that came, because I went around in London and other places in Scotland to find out the views of the Ugandans who came here later, who found us here. Most of them were not very comfortable with the original bill. But my fellow Ugandans in the studio, let me educate on Sibambi. Professor Sibambi there knows the doctrine of necessity. The doctrine of necessity is very clear. I think when His Excellency was forwarding this bill, he had the doctrine of necessity, which applies to the common law, areas of criminal law, international law, constitutional law, and all the aspects of law. So the doctrine of necessity gives the government the right to override certain things when it sees the danger. What is the necessity? The doctrine of necessity, it says that it captures security, economy, social life, and whatever it is. If there is a danger, the government will come in. I want to state facts. I'm not in any political party or politics. No, I'm just neutral, here to state to Ugandans exactly what it is. There is no country in the world that does not have a sovereign bill, an act, nowhere on planet Earth. If you can show me one, I'll give you $1 million. Every country in the world has a sovereign bill, act. Even Britain, where we are here, where I am, there's a sovereign act. Sovereignty bill is there. Only that here, there are institutions that deal with certain things that affect the sovereignty bill. The problem we have, Kawanjala, our place, we don't have institutions that work, that implement what Semuju and Sibambi pass in Parliament. Those institutions are dead. That's why when a bill like this one is brought, everybody comes up, even those who have not even read it, they hear that money is not going to be brought in, because the institutions that are supposed to educate, to enforce the Constitution have died. Corruption Commission, show me how many people we arrested. How many people arrested? How many people? That institutions in UK, there is an institution for monitoring your money. You cannot come to United Kingdom in a bank today, draw $10,000 pounds cash. Come, 10,000, 15,000. You have to write to them. You have to write to the manager. Even when you come that there is an emergency of sickness, your father is dying in hospital, in Mayday Hospital, in Croydon, down here where I am. You have to write to the manager for him to give you cash, 10,000. So their institution is in the bank. They will go and call. At times, if they see you look very ugly or shabby or not worth 10,000 pounds, they will call police. Those are institutions. So our problem here are three, Kawanjala. And let me say it to the Ugandans. The drafters of the bill should seek more information from some of us who can draft it freely. You can see the president has solved some of the problems that I had with the bill. He has already, written something that I wrote to the Attorney General. Are these the things that really the bill, which is very good, which could be good, is there where you can withdraw and redraft? The drafting of the bill is what has caused this nightmare. That's one. Two, the collapse of institutions that can make our country better. The institutions, some of them have collapsed. Anti-Corruption Commission doesn't work. We have very many of them. How many people, until the president comes on the podium and directs to arrest some people are not being arrested. Yet there is an Anti-Corruption Commission eating our money, the money that some of us work up here in the wash cars, wash toilets, sweep streets, carry people, dead bodies in the mortuary. We do so many things. I'm now defending my diaspora people. We send that money home, but people misuse it. So we must put the MPs there. Semuju, my brother, you have been doing a great job. And the Sibambi professor and others. Though let's have our institutions. We are in our letter as elders, the elders desk from London. We appeal to the president to withdraw, to tell the people to withdraw. It is on my platform, you can see it. Withdraw the bill and redraft it. Don't say reject. There is nowhere you can reject the bill of sovereignty bill. It's impossible. You can't reject it. Everywhere, each country you enter anywhere, whether Russia, China, Sovereignty Act works. You can't enter China with $1 million at the airport in Beijing, and you said they will not ask you where did you get the money. Now, there is another element which I had my brothers there, Semuju, talking about, the element of politics. The truth is that some of this comes, again, it goes to institutions, Sibambi and Semuju. You have political parties should be funded inside Uganda. Don't look for money outside Uganda to come and fund your political party. No. And let's speak like we are going away. Some of us are going away. God is going to call us. We are leaving this nation for you, the younger generation. Don't come to London to look for money to go and fund your political activities. The government should put an institution. There must be a bank to fund the political parties within Uganda's territory. Any money that you get from outside must be checked. That's a fact also. Don't blame on you see, blaming the government when you are the one going to collect $2 million, come with it, use it for campaign.
Well,
no government can allow it.
Well, thank you very much, David. We'll certainly be getting back to you for more
I hope
your
I've made
perspective
some
of this
sense,
matter.
Kawanja.
And I
You
want to
haven't
thank
asked
you very
me
much.
any questions.
We'll certainly be getting back to you. Mr. Barata, do you imagine that there's now a new contradiction? The president says, this is not the bill that I initiated. Yet already the bill that is already before Parliament is generating a lot of excitement, a lot of anxiety.
First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Matsanga. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yes.
In the UK, I think he makes a compelling argument for the necessity of legislation to protect the sovereignty of Uganda against foreign influence. In fact, I was waiting for him to mention the foreign influence registration scheme of the UK, which is under a foreign influence law. That said, we should not misrepresent what the president is saying. The president has said, if I may paraphrase, I am hearing a lot of noise about so many things which are besides the objectives of the bill. I am here to clarify, and I have called the government chief whip to clarify that the objectives of the bill...
I think you misread.
No, I did not misread.
The president says in his word, in his writing,
yes,
fellow Ugandans, especially the Bazukulu, habari, greetings to all of you. Yes. Of recent, I have noticed a lot of orwali, bracket, noise, kerere, regarding the sovereignty bill.
Yes.
Specifically addressing the sovereignty bill. Which sovereignty bill is the Rwali about? The one I initiated in the cabinet or another one?
Yes. And he goes on, the next paragraph.
The bill will stop FDI's support for religious bodies from abroad, remittances from Ugandans working abroad, etc., etc. Really? That's not the bill I initiated. This is the president's tweet. We'll be putting it up shortly.
You are reading parts. I'm telling you the context. He is saying, I have had noise about this. That is not our intention. The objective of the bill is to protect about what we fought for, etc., etc. You can see it is there, all of it. So the point is that he is not saying, this is not my bill. He is saying, this is the bill I initiated. And the objective is this. Please ensure that that is the objective and not these other things that I hear people talking about. And that is the point. And that is the point we have been making. By the way, even when the Attorney General first wrote, there was an article in the New Vision. I think he was very, very clear. And he said, there might be definitional issues, but the objective is the same. Everybody actually who has spoken about this bill said, yeah, there might be definitional issues, there might be issues of text, but the objective and the need is clear and it is there. And that is how far we have come. So today, that is why you see that there have been these propositions. Part of these exaggerations, I can tell you, yesterday I had one of our sheikhs saying, oh, this will affect Hijjah, this will affect Zakah, this will affect... I mean, how? Because people were interpreting that if you just board a plane and you fly outside the border for one moment, you become a resident. But we know that residence is a matter. There is a legal definition for residence in terms of where a person resides. It is not just a question of hopping onto a plane and you go and I saw some memes because the president was in Nairobi the other day and they said, oh, now he has become a foreigner. No. That was, of course, those are some of the exaggerations that people have made. Even this issue of remittances, even this, incidentally, a day before or 2 days before, Bank of Uganda had published, and you can go on their website and see the remittances, these domestic remittances, what you call domestic remittances, that people were flying around. I send my grandmother money. I am a person who works in Saudi, etc., etc. 93% of those do not exceed $499. That's about 1.8 million. 45% of those are between $500 and $1,000, and only 6% are in the next 5%.
So in specific terms.
Now, so what I am telling you, even the bill, even in its original form, and because we are talking about this, there was a debate about this 400 million. There is nowhere it was capturing these types of things, zakat, hijjah, domestic money for medical treatment, money for school fees, etc. But anyway, that being the point, be that as it may,
the president seems to suggest that what we are discussing now is not what he initiated.
And be that as it may, the amendment to the bill now has clearly made that clarification clear, that this bill does not deal with domestic or family or commercial business.
As we take a break in a minute,
and so
with legislative hindsight, what does it mean when the text of a bill is amended midway?
First of all, the lawyers will want to sound intelligent even after making mistakes. At the moment, they have come to propose amendments by themselves to provide what they now call clarity that these clusters are not part of the bill. Why didn't they leave it the way it is if there is no problem? They don't want to admit that there's a problem with the bill.
Is it common practice to amend the text of a bill midway? Or does it raise suspicion?
The time I have been around Parliament, a bill can be amended. Because you see, you may bring a bill and for good or bad reasons, Parliament rejects some sections. Some of the sections that sometimes Parliament has rejected sections that are central to the bill. That actually, if you remove them, then there is no bill to process. We recently had a bill, taxation bill, that collapsed.
Actually, you have one where you did that just recently, the VAT Act. Let me give you one example. And some of this is good news that people are missing in all this noise. The government came to propose to increase the threshold of VAT from 150 to 250 million. When they reached Parliament, the Parliament said no, increase it to 300 million. So as you speak, you will have an increased threshold of VAT. So just to give you an example that this is regular and this is exactly the work of Parliament.
Okay. Then you'd acknowledge that there was a problem in draftsmanship.
There can always be problems in draftsmanship. As
Show 2026, the biggest business and innovation experience of the year. From agro and poultry, agriculture, food processing, plastics and packaging, discover groundbreaking products, smart technologies, and unbeatable opportunities from exhibitors across 12 countries. This is the Visit Uganda International Trade Show 2026, happening on 8th to 10th May at Uma Showgrounds. Entry is absolutely free. Call us now on 0706 422 813 or 0784 990 333 for more information. Organized by MXM and supported by
NBS Frontline.
Welcome back. It's still the Frontline on NBS as we discuss the twists and turns in the controversial Protection of Sovereignty Bill 2026. Well, before I connect with Dr. Masang again, Honorable Sibambi, when you are before the committee, you said you supported the bill in its entirety. Here we are now with amendments. No. Doesn't this give an egg on your face?
No, my memo was quite clear. I said that I support the bill in its entirety, except for areas I've highlighted here and have not adopted. So basically, I really did not agree with the sentencing in the bill. I thought it was disproportionate. It was not appropriate. Yeah, that one I did not support. I also did not support the powers, overwhelming powers given to the minister to handle specific dockets and make regulations. Otherwise, as it is, I supported all the other areas.
Okay. But there are now voices calling for the rejection of the bill.
Which is in order, because the purpose of consultation, referring to these committees, was to get the different views and responses. So, unless you're talking about throwing the bill, then almost 50% of the bill, for it to collapse, that's where you have a problem. But the areas talked about are actually narrow. For example, most of the people are talking about issues to do with the economy. And that is just one sector out of the 9 areas under clause 2. So I think as it is, in my opinion, we are the winners because we have presented this before Ugandans. And
you and who?
Uganda. Because the sovereign...
No, you say we are the winners.
The sovereign Ugandans, the people of Uganda are winners because you're going through a democratic process, which was unheard of. It's not a directive.
And who are the losers?
As professor.
Who are the losers?
They are no losers.
No, you say we are the winners. Who are the losers?
First of all, the principal and the government is a winner. Then the losers are the people affected under clause 2 who have been taking advantage of a non-existent of a law to do mischief. Whether it is 1% or 2%, even if it is only one Ugandan.
There is an argument that this law, once passed into law, is an affront to the desire for constitutionalism and good governance.
That should be presented before the committee, and you have...
it has been presented.
It has been presented.
Let us wait for the report.
First of all,
for it to say that is an unconstitutional law. But as it is...
I have read all the... In fact, it was the same view, mostly from legal papers, about those constitutional things. And one of them surprisingly said that the bill violates Article 1 of the Constitution and Article 8A. Article 8A is the one which gives power to Parliament to legislate for purposes of protecting the sovereignty and the national interests of Uganda. It clearly states so in those words. There is no way that can be said to be unconstitutional. Now, but anyway, even that constitutional argument was related to what they were referring to as the definitions or some text being overbroad. What these amendments have done is to clarify and be very refined in whom they are targeting. That is why, for example, they have removed the reference to a citizen as a foreigner. They have taken away the power of the minister to define whom a foreigner is. They have given the minister timelines
with a whole ministry of men who know how to draft a comma, a full stop, and whatever it is. The problem came here, why people quarrel for nothing, and a conflict can arise, and the president is right to call it kerere, because people were making kerere over something which the Attorney General had not looked at. Surely, a whole department with so many people, you should have known. So, for me, the point that I want to take home is, for the diaspora, we are happy, a bit happy waiting for the question of the MP, unfortunately, my good favorite MP there in the corner. You know, I'm not seeing you properly, but in the corner, that younger man of mine, Semuju from the Daily Monitor, I know you very well. You are going away, but you used to debate very well. You should go back and debate. Our new parliament should reinforce institutions. Let the institutions bite. Sibambi, don't tell me this story or that story. Institutions in Uganda are not biting.
Dr. Matsanga, thank you very much. And let me get back to the panelists. Honorable Semuju, the speed at which the bill is being processed is also begging quite a number of questions. There is fear that this bill could actually be passed on Tuesday next week. Is it what you're reading on the radar?
I think the order paper is crowded. I'm not sure, because there are requests for tax exemptions, I think 2-3 of them. And they will take a bit of time. But I've also spoken to many NRM MPs. And I think that's why it is the new recruit in Sibambi who is moving from one station to another. You don't find many NRM MPs going on radio to defend the bill.
It's tight for them.
I have spoken to many of them. They are also uncomfortable.
I don't know if Kagwanja invited them.
I have, because the bill now has a spokesperson. Why should he waste his time? Sibam is the spokesperson of the bill. So many NRM MPs...
That's a very rude tag.
No, it's not.
No, I am actually just...
He's actually saying the truth.
Yes.
You are the spokesperson of the bill.
Not your spokesperson, but I speak for the bill, because there's an emergency and
you see, I have met many NRM MPs. They are also uncomfortable. The president had a caucus meeting in which General David Moores made a presentation, and MPs never even sought clarification. The same thing that happened with the budget, and then they left grumbling that they should have allowed that to ask questions. So there will be another round of weeping for them to come and pass this bill. And then there are processes in Parliament. I'm not sure that the Speaker will want to override all the processes, because in our rules, once a report on a bill has been presented, you must allow MPs 3 days to go and read and internalize. But most of the political bills, before I joined the Parliament, they are driven at that speed. They will seek to suspend all the rules. I don't know if they want to do it shabbily like that, because that's the process. That's the normal process in our rules. That these committees that are doing work, when they present a report, you allow us 3 days, which means you may have to go to another week and then a new Parliament, if they want to follow. But for me, Njala, I think all of you are missing the point. You are being misled by intelligent NRM lawyers and their new recruit. This bill, look at 2 things. And Museveni he has a focus. He wants to deal with the opposition. He wants to deal with the civil society.
Is this the last nail made in the coffin of the opposition?
So that's the target. But he's not sure because he now knows the receiver, where he has had a problem is with the sender. Who sends money? Can they receive it through religious leaders? Or those ones, I don't want a war with them. Those ones you can remove. After listening to Bank of Uganda and the bankers, he said those ones are also removed. But the rest have remained. The Ugandans who are outside have remained. And I have seen Masang, who is saying
the diaspora is happy.
Parties shouldn't go to London to raise money. I don't know whether London he meant the British government or he meant Ugandans. Because even NRM has diaspora chapters. I think they even have representative to their organs. Yeah. What stops a Ugandan living in a wherever?
But even on the text.
Dr.
And
Munguza,
that has been sorted.
When you look at the persons and the organizations that have come before the committee, the Legal and Defense Committee, there's been wide objection. Do you think that the government has lost the first round of the debate?
You're insisting on first round. I don't know how many rounds you expect out there. It's real, as I've said, it's a process. The people that have come up are showing already that we deviated from what the process should have been. That's why they have come at this stage. So the first round would have been before we even come to Parliament. The people who have ended up in Parliament should have been consulted. And the nature of policy development, and sometimes the law comes in to say, what is it that we want to cure and implement? When I look through some of the things that is when you read, a lot of these are already provided for. If you're talking about civil society, we already have an NGO board that was really handling
and
most
an
of those
act.
issues. And it's an act. There is even a body to implement it. So all of them were submitting their sources of information. They provide the information to have their licenses renewed. So what is this targeting as you keep removing out?
Yeah, it's targeting the defects. It's curing the defects.
Now,
when you go
could have,
yes,
so you could have gone back to the NGO Act, whatever it is,
Honorable
and
Simon,
say,
if I could borrow your draft.
And are there loopholes here that we need to cure? Because now you're even sending powers to the Minister for Internal Affairs without a structure to do what you're asking him to do.
When I refer to the first text.
Which first text?
This one.
No, there is only one bill. No amendment has been made.
There were proposals for amendment.
Those are the proposals. We don't know them because this bill was referred to a committee of parliament. It will change when the committee reports to say government has accepted these proposals. But as this is the bill that we should be discussing.
Okay, where it stands now, the argument is there are defects in the existing law.
Yes.
Which is true.
Which law?
To bar undue external influence.
Exactly. Now, do you create another law when there are defects in the existing law without withdrawing the other law?
Yes.
No.
You either want to go back and say, are the defects so significant that they require a new law? That is not stated here.
Honorable Simambi, you would come in here.
We're talking about
from a legal perspective.
Yes, from a legal perspective. Yes. I agree with the Honorable Semuju that the moment a bill is referred to the committee, you cannot even amend unless it comes back to the floor or plenary or parliament. But what is really important, when they are talking about the defects to be cured, there are two issues and perspectives to look at. You have existing laws like the NGO Act,
the Political Parties,
Anti-Terrorism Act,
Anti-Money Laundering
Act, the Bank of Uganda Act, but those acts were passed specifically to handle those situations and institutions. And the moments of time are different.
So what are they? What is this one handling now?
It's handling the issue of extraterritorial jurisdiction. But that is important.
It's not even outlined in this law.
You
simply said they are defects.
No, okay, it doesn't matter. Then you go to the.
It does.
You go to the committee. You go to the committee, like all the other people went to the committee, and you show those defects, and they collect views as it is. Poor draftsmanship does not throw out a bill. You want to correct it at that stage, which is the committee stage. What I want to talk about, if you look at all the laws you are citing, okay, they are available, but they are meant to handle situations which are domestic. The most critical thing, the issue of sovereignty involves a big component of extraterritorial jurisdiction.
Yeah, but you're talking about you cannot money coming out for there to come and affect sovereignty.
Exactly.
Already you have laws that do what? Screen the money is coming out.
No, at this stage here, at this stage,
and the intention.
At this stage, you can handle a criminal offense.
Because even man will be worried about the terrorism money.
Let me explain.
Somebody coming here to fund ADF.
Let me explain. You cannot,
we already have those provisions.
Cannot, for example, bring a person who is not residing here within the ambit of these laws which are domestic. However, in the Sovereignty Act, Protection of Sovereignty Act, you can now bring that person like in treason and you charge that person for an offense committed elsewhere here.
Through the agent. Now, let me just...
I think we have repatriation agreements, don't we?
No, repatriation, they're not universal. You see, you have a few countries, less than 20.
Simon, I want us to be...
And besides,
Simon,
I think the intent is also very clear. A clampdown on civil society. Because the text says, further, there is inadequate regulation of civil society.
Yes, which is true.
While Uganda values the contribution of civil
Simon, allow me
No.
an example for you. There was a man, a foreign man in Mukono. I don't know where you are not from Mukono.
Honsleith.
I don't remember. Yeah. He was giving out pigs. And so ostensibly, he was supporting the strengthening of household incomes. But what was he doing in the background? He was in actual sense exchanging for small girls.
And what happened to him?
Now, just wait. So, the point I'm making here is when you talk about Anti-Money Laundering Act, money laundering deals with the proceeds of crime.
Yes. Yeah.
And laundering them.
Yes.
That is why the word is there. So the money is dirty to begin with.
Yes.
This bill is not talking about dirty money. You can have your clean money. It is now what you are using it for.
The intention.
And from where?
The intention.
Where is the line between clean and dirty money?
But even then,
wait. And when you ask, you see, you cannot reinvent the wheel.
The FIA will look also at the intention. What have you brought to the money?
You cannot reinvent the wheel, Professor. You cannot recreate your own legislative process. This legislative process.
I even ask you what happened to that man. We already had laws that dealt with it.
Because you are trying to tell me that all the countries that have...
There is an FIA in place, isn't there?
What you are telling me...
What if he was not residing here, but influencing policy and issues here?
Is a foreigner.
But his money was originating from elsewhere.
Okay. No, you're talking about if he's not staying here.
Yes.
How do you have that?
What obtains in this is fear. Government is legislating in fear,
what
right?
you need to understand,
government legislates in anticipation of real threats.
What is the threat now?
It assesses the real threat is the threat of increased foreign influence through covert means. Covert means are those means that present themselves as bona fide, while in the background are actually not.
I think let's agree that
what
the
law
drafting
was
not clear on who exactly we're targeting.
And this is why. This is why.
Remove these ones.
No, clause 2 is very clear.
Remove these ones.
That is why the law is saying register and disclose
to a minister,
to the state,
to the board,
through the minister. And the minister here is in perspective, because remember the department
isn't the minister having ridiculous powers.
There is a department under the ministry
of peace and stability,
right? And by the way, there is no single legislation in Uganda that does not confer powers on the line minister.
Not excessive powers.
There is no single legislation that in Uganda that does not confer powers on a line minister. So this idea, I think you people want to create your own...
So there is going to be a minister who is over and above all the statutory regulations now in place.
No, the line minister, for instance, the Minister of Finance, you will find all the tax bills and the Public Finance Management Act are talking about the minister. So in the area of finance,
you see, for me, Njara, these government people sat down and identified money as the only influence. I went to the areas of Bunga and Gawa, and I'm not raising this in bad faith. The Eritreans, the Ethiopians, you go to villages, they have become villages of Ethiopians and Eritreans. So you mean the only thing that is going to affect the sovereignty of Uganda is money?
I met an Eritrean vendor in Kabusu the other day.
The Chinese, you see, the Chinese who bring here money. You remember they even wanted to rename Entebbe Airport, later they denied. If you go around Uganda today in Kampala here and Wakiso, you will find almost on every street Chinese are opening Chinese centers, Chinese supermarkets, Chinese everything. I thought that's what we should be discussing. Mechanical as he was, Idi Amin, and illegally as he carried it out. There was a problem when the Indians here had become a first-class group of citizens. Masaka Secondary School, to which I went to, at one time was a school of only Indians. We had 2 only Ugandan girls going to that school.
You are a girl and the other girl?
No, I said at one time because I went to that school when the Indians had already gone.
I'm joking.
Yes. The money that the Chinese are bringing here, I don't know why we concentrate on the smaller things. The other day I told you in the budget, every financial year you are now paying to Chinese. I think in a year about 800 to 900 billion. They are taking in interest more than that. But so you have already mortgaged the country to foreign interest, and then you are here claiming everything is being done by Chinese. You are kneeling before them. They summon you, all you Africans. This president who was saying that Ethiopia was the only country that survived. China said all of you come to Shanghai, and they were running there. So if there is anyone a bill that we must make, it's a bill to stop Museveni from mortgaging Uganda. We've just done a budget. We are going to borrow 10 trillion from external sources. We don't even know which sources. A man who sends the delegation to go and beg, make us vulnerable before foreign interests. In fact, I told the parliament, if there is anyone who should be charged with being an agent of foreign interest, it is Museveni and his ministers. They are the ones who are in Washington, they are the ones in Europe, they are the ones in the Middle East. So this bill does not in any way coming here to protect our sovereignty. We have already surrendered it because of our own poverty. You have a budget, even these banks here in Uganda, you have about 25, 26 commercial banks, and they keep claiming in the budget they are going to be borrowing from the domestic market. They are South African banks. This is Stanbic, Stanchart. So the money, next year we have a budget of 84 trillion shilling. We are going to borrow 36 trillion, with the exception of this, the sovereign, pension funds. The rest of the money is going to come from banks that are foreign owned, and then we will be going to foreign lenders. So here, is there anything? And that's why the Bank of Uganda, I think, carefully said, you see, if you don't have money, there is no sovereignty to speak about. And every year we pass a budget which is into a law, because the appropriation becomes a law to say, please, we will be going to foreign interest as a country to borrow. Where do we start? We will start with China.
Dr.
After
Matsanga,
China, Middle East.
I'm glad you're back. Honorable Semuju raises a very pertinent issue.
He said, don't come to London to finance a political party. Why should you go to London to finance a government?
Should national sovereignty be hinged on money?
First of all, thank you very much, Kawan, my dear brothers. Semuju should know that there are people like a Open Society Foundation of George Soros. They fund to overthrow governments. Let's be honest.
Like
yes. Semuju, Linda Ko.
Was in Museveni getting money from Libya to overthrow a government?
Yeah, wait. Please, Professor Sibambi, can you educate Mr. Semuju what the doctrine of necessity is? Or I come to lecture to you. The doctrine of necessity is the government cannot sit and watch when foreign funders whose website says they overthrow governments. George Soros overthrows governments. Yes, in Africa. There are some agencies in Europe, in London here where I am, that fund to overthrow government, not to build governments. There are NGOs that are good and that are bad. As a Pan-African myself, I am not agreeable to any opposition member from Africa who comes here to pick money.
What about government? So,
wait.
So you are uncomfortable with the opposition going to London to ask for money, but you are okay with the government?
The government is allowed.
You are okay with the government to go and borrow money and fund NRM?
No. The government borrows on the constitution. There is a constitution that gives the guidelines for the government to borrow. Isn't it there? Mwami Semuju, you have done very well in this other parliament. You should tell the world, and you are one of the few younger men that I love so much. When you are on the floor speaking, I like the way you speak. Tell the country the truth is not the borrowing. The truth is that when the money arrives, we don't have institutions that keep the money. People misuse the money. People are corrupt. There's corruption everywhere. So that is one aspect. But for me, I want to take this opportunity because I have, since I studied English literature in 1974, Shakespeare, I have read the letter of His Excellency the President. I want to thank him for the last paragraph where he excluded us. We, the diasporians, we are excluded under some small money. Someone, look, some of you, tackle the drafters. Tackle. And there's one thing that Kawanjala that I want to correct in Ugandan politics. We talk about Museveni only all the time. We don't, why don't we give His Excellency his part, he's played his part. This country is ours. Let's start talking about ideas.
Well,
what alternatives?
Dr. David Masanga, what a pleasure speaking to you. And well, it's heartening to hear that.
I want. Thank you,
diaspora. Thank you, Mr. Masanga. We'll definitely be glad to speak to you another time.
I just wanted to correct one impression, which, in terms of guiding this debate, you give the impression that we are talking about either economics and politics. But if you look at clause 2 of the bill, you have about 9 items considered by the bill. You also have another broad item talking or giving the minister more powers to handle what is not covered in the bill. This bill is basically about sovereignty in all spheres, economic, social, and political, but specifically to protect the people of Uganda from foreign or external influence. Things to do with influencing the direction of our norms, values, culture, and issues to do with economic sabotage, general policies.
Yesterday belonged to the opposition.
Yes.
Is speaking with a lot of enthusiasm.
Exactly,
in
because
trying to block the opposition
I've been there.
From existing.
No. I've been there. People are selling cards and say environmental protection, and they keep selling cards. So the donor or the funders out there would give money with a view that this is money meant for environmental protection. Then when that money comes in here, it has 2 issues where governments have to get involved in legislation. It diverts the fiscal policy and planning of the country. 2, it is also a scam. So really you want to know, you are getting this kind of money for environmental protection. Did it exactly get involved in issues to do with the environment?
Well, so we'll take a very short break, and when we return, we'll actually be examining what sovereignty means and what national interests means. We'll be back.
NBS Frontline. In a digital world, not everything is what it seems. False stories today spread faster than truth, leaving us all wondering what's real. Disinformation misleads, misinformation misguides and spreads confusion and fear. Dismiss, a campaign to help you think critically, question wisely, and verify thoroughly. Join us. Let's build a more informed Uganda, one truth at a time. Dismiss, inquire, verify, confirm. Together, let's fight fake news.
Meet the Boss is back. Uganda's biggest networking event is back. Join us on 30th of April at The Motive Innovation Hub for Meet the Boss Marketplace ICT Innovation and Tech Edition, featuring Dr. Lawrence Muganga, the Vice Chancellor of Victoria University, plus regional innovators from East Africa. Come experience masterclasses, live pitch sessions, and an exclusive dinner with decision makers. To book, call 0750-816-046.
What does unwavering faith look like? This June 3rd, Uganda unites to honor the courage and sacrifice of the Uganda Martyrs. NBS TV, Afromobile, and our other platforms bring you comprehensive live coverage from Namugongo, powerful moments, inspiring stories, and nationwide conversations that matter. Churches, ministries, and value-driven brands align your message with a moment that commands national attention and trust. Be seen, be heard, be part of the story. Call 0761 001 890 now to secure your slot. Next Media, connecting you to moments that move the nation.
There's a lot that you have desired from the Lord that has been stopped for quite some time. Because I see a place that is stacked with wood.
I do furniture.
You do furniture?
Yes, sir.
Hallelujah! Okay. What am I hearing? Koboko.
My mom put rentals. I'm supposed to finish them up.
Where?
In Koboko.
Okay.
Watch the power of prophecy with Prophet Elvis Mbonye this Saturday, 6:30 p.m. on NBS TV, Uganda.
When you don't use Momo, you are forced to quarrel.
Mama, nkwere 5,000. Abantu abakulu mwatandisa obuyayi.
Obuyayi obuliga. Ngobiyanko basoka
sente dange nizade kolera ngobi nakolera sente dange.
Save yourself from quarreling. Use the Momo app or dial *165*3# to pay and enjoy zero charges below 5K. That's the power of Momo.
You put pasture for dairy cows. The 4th acre for food, cassava. The good thing is that now cassava is also becoming a very good cash product. But at least for food. Then, mind you, the backyard. You put poultry for eggs, you put piggery.
I'm in a 1 acre plot of land. In this 1 acre, Your Excellency, I practice this banana plantation. I also practice coffee. I also have dairy, Your Excellency. Every month, Your Excellency, I get 500,000 from these bunches.
The 7 activities we recommended, they have a big the swamp, but at the edge of the swamp.
From coffee farms to fish ponds, the 4-acre model is empowering Ugandans to transform their lives. The parish development model
Kenneth David Kaunda as a Pan-Africanist.
NBS Frontline.
Well, still taking a deep dive into what this thing called the Protection of Sovereignty Bill 2026 means to the country. Honorable Nsibambi, could you define for us what national interests mean in this case and what sovereignty is?
Yes, specifically, Ugandans have defined this already in 1995 Constitution that power belongs to the people. So specifically, one would say that the feeling that this is our country, not patriotism at that, because patriotism is a little bit political, but that kind of feeling that you own your country and destiny. You must determine your destiny. The norms, the values and cultures must evolve towards what you wish to have as Ugandans, because we have different cultures.
So now sovereignty is being whipped by a law?
No, exactly, because the Constitution presupposes that. But the feeling of sovereignty is basically internal. It's a feeling. You own it. You feel it. You don't have to be shown. In law, this is what we call judicial notice. You don't have to say this is a woman and this is a man. Can you please put off your cloth? When it is at night, you say it's now dark. It's something you cannot define, but you see it. You really feel it. And it's quite important. It's from that kind of feeling and belief that you cannot even talk of development. You must have a culture of ownership.
Honorable Dr. Muhumuza, do you feel government now seeks to invoke that sense of sovereignty amongst Ugandans with the law?
You know, once you do not have economic muscle and power, you lose your sovereignty. And we even talk about sovereign default. That a country that is sovereign has defaulted on its debt. So I would get back to the economics of what are we even discussing. The president has been very clear. Sovereignty of policy decision making. Get back to that. The budget we have just passed, 40% of it, we did not have a say on it. Not even Parliament had anything as a say, because it is debt service. We take it to Parliament for information, because the decisions are already made. So if you can't even have sovereignty to make decisions over the bulk of your budget, you have fundamentals to address in that economy. So it's not about that I am sovereign and you say it. But literally, if you can't even move out of your compound to go out there, then your sovereignty, you need to question it. And I think that is where the president should be emphasizing when he makes this, for me, is a fundamental statement. Sovereignty over policy making. You want to buy drugs, you can't. You want to make roads, you can't. You want to pay your people very well, you can't. Because you literally have no control over your budget. It is all capped into boxes that are given, which you can't even
So
change.
is this a bad law now veiled in sweet words like sovereignty?
There are bigger things if we want to really talk about sovereignty of policy decision making. There are more things that we should also be talking. Not to ignore this one. But now the people controlling you are already sitting out there. If this 12%, and that's the concern of the governor, if you raffle those fellows and they say, I am withdrawing my money, I am not going to do that. You want to be addressing those fundamentals on how can I be in charge of my economy. So it goes more beyond a mere statement of some people here are bringing in money to influence a decision. Even those who are not influencing decisions politically have already influenced decisions technically. We discussed about the borrowing we have done, and Auditor General has written, avoid making agreements that mortgage our products. Because we have taken loans where in some cases the Auditor General has mentioned and said we have given away our assets. Now that area also needs to be very well addressed, and you find silence on that. For me, that is the real cancer eating on the power of the country to make a decision to say, I want to do this as a government, and then you cannot do it because of certain decisions that were done outside where the powers should be speaking.
Isn't it a big fallacy to say that you're protecting sovereignty in a country whose sovereignty is questionable?
First of all, Dr. Muhumuza, I think, understands very clearly and has stated what sovereignty is. except that I feel that his approach is rather defeatist, because if I take his logic, then we should never have fought for independence, because then we almost had absolutely nothing. That is not the approach that we can take. The approach is that you fight and you take your sovereignty and you protect that which you have gained while you advance the rest. But going back to your question, national interests.
No, let's first make a case for sovereignty.
And that's
because
where,
you have lost your independence. You fought for it and you have given it away.
That is where I'm going.
The fallacy of sovereignty.
That is where I'm going. And I want to tell you that this is not a concept that has been introduced in this bill. Article 8A of the Constitution says, Uganda shall be governed based on interests of, and this is the word, national interest, and common good enshrined in the national objectives and directive principles of state policy. So even the term national interest and so on and so forth, that is not the first time it is showing up. It is in the Constitution. It is constitutional.
Okay. What is Uganda's national interest?
Where does it point us to? It says the national objectives and directive principles of state policy. And these are here in the Constitution. And there are many. There are many objectives, but there is one, particularly number 4, which is titled National Security, National Sovereignty, Independence, and Territorial Integrity. So if you want to know in brief what sovereignty is, it is here. It is constitutionally
What
stated.
is it?
There are many objectives, as I said, and I don't think I will have time to read all of them.
No.
But I can state for you.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell, it is the supreme legal authority to self-govern, to determine your own policy, to determine your own direction, and as the president has rightly put it, to be entitled to make your own mistakes and not to make the mistakes that have been imposed on you.
In reality, is Uganda a sovereign country?
Uganda is a sovereign country, but Uganda continues to fight to improve and to strengthen that sovereignty, and this bill is one of the measures through which that fight will continue to protect even the little sovereignty that we have fought for over the last 40 years, in fact, since independence, since 1960, even since before.
In which particular areas is Uganda enjoying any bit of sovereignty?
I know there have been people, there is one particular person I want to mention who consistently advocates that we should be recolonized. But I think if we have to go through that argument, then that is a problem. Then we are arguing at different levels. But first of all, you can see the demonstration, this debate itself and the debate that has been in Parliament for the last 1.5 weeks and so on and so forth. These are just simple things. The functions we had, or no, the elections we had from 15th January up to now, this is national sovereignty.
Well,
the participation of the masses in the economy of Uganda, this is national sovereignty.
Well, Honorable Semuju, you'd look at these as defining moments for the country where we now have to go back to ask whether Uganda is sovereign or not, and whether there are national interests at stake that this bill seeks to cure.
You see, our level of vulnerability as a country, whether you're independent or not, remain. And I don't think Museveni seeks to strengthen the state of Uganda. He's just fortifying himself against the competition. What he accesses, he doesn't want another person to access. I remember when we were fighting with Rwanda, at that time we had a debate, sale of Uganda Commercial Bank. The MPs were very angry that Museveni had gone ahead to sell the bank against parliamentary resolution. So when Museveni was meeting MPs, he said, you see, we are poor people. So what Museveni said, you shouldn't worry. He said, I am a whole head of state with the President Kagame. We are summoned by a Minister of State in UK. And she said, because it's not state visit, I will meet you in Chiangera at my hotel. That hasn't changed.
Chiangera in UK?
I'm just giving you an example. The level of vulnerability, I think today if a Chinese summoned Museveni, he may not even wash his face in the morning. He will rush, pick the next flight to Shanghai. Because they are the one sponsoring Entebbe, doing this expressway, doing this, using their money. And that's why their banks, Exim, have started opening branches here. Is that what Professor Suruma was talking about in one of his writings? He said, foreigners don't want us to have capital. So they came here and ordered Museveni to sell banks. He sold all of them. And they brought theirs where you go to borrow money and pay every financial, you're paying about 13 trillion in interest. So that vulnerability, until it is addressed, Museveni is not seeking to protect Uganda's sovereignty, he's actually seeking to protect himself in power. And that's why it is civil society, it is the political opposition.
Okay, but do you agree that civil society organizations were problematic? The national agenda.
Many of the people who are in civil society, I want to agree with the Bank of Uganda if I understood them. They are looking at it as a financial sector. The central bank said these NGOs bring in about $400 million US every year and they employ between 20 to 50,000 people. I am not sure that many of those who are opening up civil society that actually they are interested in what they claim they are promoting. But you have money lying outside there of people who want to donate it. If they tell, even government, and you see, the way government behaves is not different from the way our people behave. When the World Bank and IMF said we are now sponsoring climate-related projects, all the writings in the Ministry of Finance have changed. Everything now is climate, smart this, because that's the money that is available.
And there's no money there.
Yes, so civil societies in Uganda and in many poor countries, if they are promoting media, you will have 20 to 100 media related. If it is human rights, then you will have 100. They are driven by the money, not because they want to promote those objectives, but they want to access money for jobs. I don't know of any civil society
and
in Uganda.
And this money is a threat
to
national interest.
It isn't. If you ask the opposition, they will tell you that civil society is useless, they are not helping, there are no seminars, they are not what. Because people who run the civil society in Uganda, it's very few of them who stick to the objective for which they are found.
Thank you. As we switch to Afro Mobile now, Honorable Shiva. Nsigambi, you were a lawyer of high pedigree.
Yes, thank you.
And you're going against the position of the Uganda Law Society.
No.
The Uganda Law Society has already exposed the loopholes in the law. And you're saying, I support it in its entirety. That's awkward.
No, it's not awkward. Because the Law Society, as a club of lawyers, it has an executive. As we talk now, we have what you call the rebel.
There is no executive.
The executive is there. You may not believe in it, but it's
constituted because there's a vice. The president is not here, but we are not orphans. But we have what they call the rebel new bar. And that's not even codified. It's not anywhere in our laws. So you have a feeling that you have young men and women in that new club called the rebel new bar. What was presented was by that club, not Uganda Law Society.
Sorry?
The rebel new bar, which is not under our Uganda Law Society Act. is the one which presented.
No, but they are the ones who
the committee.
They are the ones who stood
by subscription.
But even if it were that is even besides the point.
Yeah.
This is a matter, and I am surprised sometimes by these arguments. You can't be arguing for freedom of association, freedom of expression, and then you want to conscript me into something that I don't want. But
no, you subscribe to the Law Society.
I subscribe to the Law Society.
Uganda Law
Society. And they have made their stance clear.
That does not take away my individual agency. It does not take away my individual opinion.
This is an agent of NRM,
so
we should make him also register.
So you cannot say...
NRM is not a foreign organization.
So there is nothing contradictory about a lawyer giving an opinion about... It's just the same as the Doctors Association gave opinions, but one other doctor or two or three or how many can give other opinions. A member of NRM can give other opinions. There is nothing wrong with that at all. So there is that.
Well, gentlemen, we are signing out of here. The big question remains: who wins so far and who has lost? Good night.
Tsibambi is winning. He says the law will pass.
Will pass.
Regardless.
On Tuesday.
But he possibly has lost the original intention since it will pass with amendments.
No, but you see,
no, I don't think there will be a